Scrolling forums, we decode the show. Hidden Easter eggs, lines to know. Three friends laughing, munching snacks. Lois and Clark, we're always coming back.
I'm Molly.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Jen.
And welcome to Folks Forever, a Lois and Clark rewatch podcast.
We're three fans who've been loving LNC since 1993.
Each week we'll recap one episode and talk about at least one LNC-related topic.
If you would like to learn more about who we are, how we became folks, and how we became friends, check out our intro episode.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Daisy, the little baby that I'm watching.
Oh, hi, baby.
Oh my goodness. So cute.
Isn't she cute? Oh, she's like, get me out of here.
Looks like a tiny sprocket from Fraggle Rock. Very cute. I got something cool in the mail today.
What you got?
Ooh.
A parking placard.
Oh, yay.
Yay, no way.
Yay.
That's cool.
So now I have 3. So
What?
I'm
That's
guessing
cool.
there's probably 4 because I'm assuming they're
One
all
from
for
each.
each different season, maybe. They're 3 different crew members. They put these in their car. Getting my collection going here. Everybody needs parking placards from the show.
Totally.
Today we're going to be discussing Season 1, Episode 4, I'm Looking Through You. We'll also be sharing our memories of the beloved Warner Brothers Studio Store. I'm Looking Through You first aired on October 10th, 1993. Toni Morrison had just been awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature, becoming the first Black woman to achieve that honor. Meatloaf's I Would Do Anything for Love had recently been released. Other hit songs of the time included All That She Wants by Ace of Base, What Is Love by Hathaway, and Again by Janet Jackson. And if you were staying homesick from school, you had plenty of daytime TV options. All My Children, As the World Turns, The Bold and the Beautiful, Days of Our Lives, Loving, Another World, The Young and the Restless, One Life to Live, Guiding Light, and General Hospital. And of course, The Price is Right, which was in its 22nd season.
All That She Wants is going to be stuck in my head. Ace of Base was the jam back then. It's going to be stuck in my head all evening.
Before we get into our more detailed discussion of I'm Looking Through You, we'll be giving our very own summaries in 16 words or less. And we'll start with Julie.
My summary is, Clark proves you can feel visible and invisible all at once. Poor Clark.
Aw. My summary is, Lois and Clark help save a marriage while Clark wrestles with Superman's sudden and overwhelming fame.
Aw. Nice. And mine is 16 words exactly. I'm proud of that. So, Lois likes to wear Superman pajamas, even though he won't give her the time of day.
Oh, do you all have Superman pajamas?
I do.
I don't. Nice.
I used
I
to.
have Superman socks.
You don't have Superman pajamas, Molly?
Well, the ones I had got holes in them, wore out, and I haven't gotten new ones.
Nah.
So, yeah.
Aw.
Every LNC episode had a title. Sometimes the titles will be a play on words or a reference to an old movie or song. I'm Looking Through You is likely a reference to the 1965 Beatles song written by Paul McCartney, which appeared on their 6th album, Rubber Soul.
The guest stars for this episode are Leslie Jordan. I don't know if you've heard of him. He played Alan Morris, and he is best known for Will and Grace, Sordid Lives, Murphy Brown, Caroline in the City, Star Trek Voyager, and Weird Science. He had many other credits, but he really became a household name in 2020 during the pandemic with his Instagram. Did you guys follow him?
I did. He was
Molly said no.
hilarious.
He had the best stories. He was fabulous. R.I.P. Also, Jack Carter played Murray Brown. He is best known for History of the World Part 1, Alligator, and Amazing Stories. He was also in one episode of Desperate Housewives as Mr. Fishman.
He was also on the 1966 Batman series as one of the henchmen.
Ooh.
So he kind of
Ooh.
has a DC connection.
Nice. Okay. Patrika Darbo played Helene Morris. She is best known for Days of Our Lives, Babe, the voice of Maybelle in Rango, and also Speed to Cruise Control.
Patrika Darbo is best known to me as the aunt on season, I think just one of Step by Step before they totally ghosted her.
Jim Beaver played Henry Barnes, who was best known for Deadwood, Supernatural, Breaking Bad, and The Boys.
If Julie wants his autograph, he is making the rounds at all of the Comic-Con circuit. So
Nice.
he's an easy one to find.
I do know that he's also an expert on George Reeves, like his death and all of that. And I think he's like a historical consultant. He consulted on Hollywoodland, which was basically about Reeves, and Ben Affleck was in that movie. So that's kind of a weird little Superman connection, which happened after this.
And finally, Thomas Ryan played Detective Burke, who has been in The Relic, The Principal, and Summer School, and he also had 2 episodes of 24.
Do either of you have any memories of your first time watching this episode?
Okay, well, I don't remember much from this, but I do remember the dream sequence and thinking that it was kind of funny. And I also remember thinking it was cute that Martha was interrogating Clark about seeing Lois in her pajamas. But that's about it. I don't really remember a whole lot.
Yeah, for me too. I don't remember a whole lot specifically. I do remember when I was watching it, I recognized the Invisible Man's wife from Step by Step, like Molly said. And she was in a lot of other stuff that I liked. I watched, she was in The Burbs, which was a great movie. I don't know if you guys know The Burbs. And Troop Beverly Hills, she was in that.
Well, I was all prepared to say that I didn't really remember this from the original run, but as I was watching it, I was like, memory unlocked. As I was watching the scene where Lois and Alan are wearing the invisibility suit, I remembered that when this episode either first aired or reran, I walked into the room while my mom and my brother were watching the show. And I remember seeing that part. And when she's like, "Get your hand off my thigh," and he's like, "It's not on my thigh." And I think I probably stuck around for the rest of the episode. But years later, when I finally got to see it on tape again, I remembered that part. Like, oh yeah, I have seen this one. And I always remembered, oh yeah, there's an Invisible Man episode. So I at least saw part of it during the original run.
If you walked into the room when there's no one on the screen, but you just hear voices, you're probably like, what is this show?
What?
Where are the actors? I'm confused.
They were hiding behind the bush.
I mean, you can see the bush moving.
But why were they hiding behind the bush if they were invisible?
Good point. Good point.
Habit. All right, let's get into the episode. We're going to start out on Metropolis Square, where a large crowd has gathered to watch Superman be presented the key to the city. One thing's for sure, Metropolis is in love with Superman. There are stands selling Superman merch, Superman balloons, t-shirts, pennants waving all over, one of which I actually own. This particular scene has some serious Easter eggs. In the crowd are several DC Comics editors, writers, and artists who were working on the Death of Superman's story arc at the time. Most notably, Mike Carlin, Dan Jurgens, Roger Stern, Louise Simonson, John Bogdanove, Brett Breeding, and Jerry Ordway. There is even a cardboard standee of Joe Shuster's Superman, which I thought was pretty cool, even though it really doesn't look like our Superman. I'm glad that they included that. As last year's recipient of the key, Lex says a few words.
It's my honor to pass it on to our newfound friend.
Superman's face here is priceless. Basically, you are full of it, Luthor.
And Lex is trying so hard to keep his cool, and you know this is killing him inside, having to pass this key over to Superman.
They're trying to be nice and like, thanks, Luthor. But their faces are like, hatred.
Yeah, that's great.
Very fake.
Lex hands the key over to the deputy mayor so she can present it to Superman. In the script, it says mayor, which makes way more sense. Maybe they thought it was going to be a bigger role eventually. Who knows? But anyway, Superman shyly steps up to the microphone to say thank you. All eyes are on him, and he's feeling overwhelmed, uncomfortable, and very visible. As the mob crowds the stage, he slips away, hides around the corner, and a group of crazed teenage girls run after him screaming, cutting him off in an alley, and they start mauling at him. OMG. What are your thoughts on that?
Those maybe are a little older than teenage girls. However, that is a good sort of representation of what we might have been doing circa 1999.
I'm like, that was the folk fan club running after him.
Can you imagine being one of those extras and that was your job to chase Dean Cain into an alley? Yeah.
Julie's holding up her pennant. She's coming.
I've already got my flag.
Waving my pennant. I got my prop here for today. Yeah, that would have been Molly running after him, and his face is like, ah.
I kept my cool in St. Louis. Mostly.
Yes, you did.
Mostly.
I have some video footage that says otherwise, Molly. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I was like, we need to unearth this, please. I'm jealous. You guys saw peak Dean Cain. Peak.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, I'm sure we'll talk about that eventually.
Yeah.
But that was a fun weekend. So much fun. All right, back to the episode. We are cutting to a Daily Planet staff meeting where Lois is in her own world, staring off into space, upset that Superman didn't notice her in the crowd. Kat comes in, sits on Clark's lap, and kisses him full on the mouth and says,
Morning hotcakes.
I know we keep talking about this, but this is by far the worst. Where the heck is HR?
And why does Clark just sort of, I guess he's like a freezer when the fight, flight, or freeze, he just freezes. You're pretty strong, Clark. You could just be like, push.
Yeah. Literally, nobody in the room says anything or does anything. They just allow this to happen.
Well, they all still think that maybe there's something between them, like, because she hasn't squashed the rumors, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, but clearly he's uncomfortable and he's like wiping his mouth and come on.
Cat
got
your tongue. Yeah.
Cat got your tongue. So Clark then drops his pen under the table so he can quickly crawl through the Daily Planet to save a plane that's flying erratic outside. Again, using your powers blatantly out in the open, Clark. Did no one see him crawling around by their feet at super speed? Really?
Can I backtrack just a slight bit here? Because there's something that happens here. Okay. Back at the Superman celebration, Lex and Asabi are talking. Lex implies that he's bored and he wants to do something. And so they decide to go to the airport. I always connected that with this scene with the airplane, thinking somehow that Lex like made this airplane fly towards the city. Like that was his sport. It was only this time watching the episode, I was like, oh, no, he's going to Florida for alligator hunting. This was not his plane or anything to do with him. It's just so funny.
Yes. Wait, the alligator hunting will come up again for sure later on. And
I totally missed that. Is that why later on? Because I had a question about the shoes prominently displayed in one. That's why? Completely over my head.
It only connected for me this time that Lex goes to the Everglades for boot season or something, he said.
How did they make the boots that fast? Like, it was like a day, maybe 2 days?
When you're doing it for a rich man, you're probably motivated.
He's pretty pushy.
If you don't, maybe you'll be found in the river.
A bit later, Lois wonders where he went and is mega confused when he slips back in the door. He needs to be smarter here. Was there no other, better way to get out of there? A bathroom break, perhaps? Just his lucky pen? That's a pretty sad excuse there, Clark.
He has dirt on his face, too.
Yeah, he didn't even wipe his face yet.
Sloppy.
Very sloppy. And how did he fix the plane is my question. Things we'll never know. All right. We find out 2 significant things in this meeting. Jimmy talks about a National Whisperer article featuring an invisible man committing Robin Hood-style crimes. And second, we find out that Barnes, an armed robber from the state penitentiary, has escaped and may be headed for Metropolis. After the meeting, a sleazy opportunist named Murray Brown seeks out Lois because he believes she'll be able to find Superman, which of course she can't. Did y'all notice his polar bear tie?
Yes.
Why Why a polar
So
bear? It's
funny.
not winter. It's very random. Anyway, he wants to represent Superman because his buns of steel are worth money in the bank. Lois wants nothing to do with him. She shakes her head in disgust and walks away over to the TV monitors, where we see the Invisible Man hijacking a catering truck and taking the food to a homeless shelter. Helene, the Invisible Man's wife, comes up and wants to talk to Lois, but she totally blows her off too, until Clark convinces her that they should talk to her because he's fascinated by the paranormal. Lois gives in, rolls her eyes, and says,
Who knows? Maybe she'll introduce us to Casper the Friendly Ghost.
They visit the woman's house, and she shows them her husband's basement laboratory. Helene is still trying to convince Lois, but she's just not buying what she's selling. Did anyone notice the wedding photo that Lois picked up? Helene says they got married 20-something years ago, and it looks like that photo was taken yesterday. This bugs me every time I watch this episode. They could have done such a better job with that.
You can't even say it's from when they renewed their vows because we know that they haven't gotten along in all these years. So
No, exactly. I thought that too, maybe, but no, I don't think so. Helene says the night he left, she came down looking for him. He wasn't there, but she saw the door open, heard him say goodbye, and the door closed. She wants them to write an article to find out if he's ever coming home because she misses him. Aww. As Lois and Clark leave, they see an airplane has skywritten, Superman, call M. Brown. 1555, I rep you. Lois is disgusted.
there's a lot of planes in this episode. I'm just gonna.
That's the third plane. She goes on to say, everybody wants a piece of Superman. Keys to the city, telethons, benefits. What's next? A guest shot on AM Metropolis? When is this all going to end? Clark says, are you worried that it will all go to Superman's head? She says,
No, I'm worried he'll forget about me.
aw.
I don't think she has anything to worry about. I mean, he just gave her that exclusive interview in the last episode.
I feel like sometimes girls just need that reassurance. She needs to be validated a little bit.
She's a little insecure. Cut 2. A lieutenant is wandering around the crime scene with Lois and Clark, shaking his head in frustration. The Invisible Man has now robbed a jewelry store. And he is just, how do you find somebody who's invisible? A cop comes up to Lois with a note, and as she opens and reads it, we cut to Alan's now destroyed lab. While Helene speaks, Clark wanders around, sees something, and picks it up. It's a shiny white piece of cloth. He feels it's a clue and pockets it. Helene says that an invisible man hit her on the head, but she believes someone stole a suit and is impersonating her husband because he wouldn't hurt a fly. It was probably stolen because she was on the news and some creepy dude found it who was watching the news. So maybe keep your mouth shut that there's an invisible suit, lady. They leave, and Clark is actually driving for once. Aimlessly, it seems, as he doesn't even know where they're headed. Lois still doesn't believe Helene, but Clark does and wants to emphasize that in their story and argues his point that the man was giving away money. Why would he be stealing it now? Lois gives in, and Clark finally asks where they're off to.
Oh, I have to get dressed.
Hot date?
Uh-huh.
With who?
Superman.
Clark is speechless.
Nobody bothered to tell Clark about this date. He's got like, if Superman and I, if you and Superman have a hot date, nobody told me about it.
I thought they seemed really comfortable with each other. Their relationship seems to have hit this place where they're friends and they're comfortable talking about things like marriage, even if it's, not about them. But I really liked the car scene. I thought it was cute. They're kind of showing off their new place as friends.
Was that Lois's Jeep?
I'm pretty sure it said in the script it's the Daily Planet van.
Okay,
I don't think
good.
she has a car yet.
Okay. Because I was like, if that's her Jeep and it's the first time we're seeing it and he's driving, not her, that's kind of weird.
Lois is very controlling, and she's letting him drive. She doesn't let him drive very often in the series, which is kind of interesting. Maybe she is a little bit more comfortable with him and trusting. But yeah, he's just driving around aimlessly. Maybe find out where you're going before you start driving in the rain.
True. Now we are at auction night with several well-dressed members of society. A sign is hanging above the stage that says, Buy a date with your favorite celebrity. So Lex is walking around in a tux when he's called to the stage. Lois is standing nearby watching, looking amazing, I might add, in an off-the-shoulder sequin dress. Kat steps into view next to Lois in a gaudy white and gold sequined crisscross bikini top and matching skirt. When the person on stage calls him the fourth richest man in the world, Lex does not hesitate to correct her. Oh no, I'm sorry, the third richest man in the world. Turns out he's going up for auction. Bidding starts at $500 and quickly moves up to $7,500 within seconds. Lois looks at Kat and asks,
Couldn't you afford a whole dress?
Less is more, darling.
and Kat smirks, then looks down at Lois's dress and tacks on,
Sometimes.
How rude.
right? I thought it was kind of funny though. I love their rivalry.
Lois did dish that one out. I think they gave each other equal shares of
True.
sass there.
There is a final call for bids, and an older lady shouts out $10,000. Sold. Just then, we see Superman standing on the balcony. He jumps down off the ledge, and it looks real effortless. And in the words of Jimmy Olsen, I'm going to add, real smooth.
Did y'all realize that was the same shot from the pilot that they used? They just reused it.
No.
What if Superman was just there to like lecture Lex again? He's like, oh, excuse me, is something going on?
Oh,
Okay,
sorry.
you can do this if you want. We'll start the
Sure, why
bidding.
not?
And now something very special, a super date, a Sunday picnic in the clouds. So here's my question for you guys. If you were there, would you have bid on Superman, and what would your limit have been?
I would probably bid for sure. It wouldn't be as high as it went.
Well, as a 13-year-old girl, would you have given your whole allowance to try to win?
Yeah, but it wouldn't have been much. I have
Yeah,
a
I
question about
wouldn't.
this picnic in the clouds. How does that work?
That was my question. I wrote that down. I said, how do you have a picnic in the clouds?
Thing and like float her and be like, okay, with one hand and the other hand is holding like this giant board with a picnic blanket on it, and she's sitting on it and they're chatting like he's leaning over it.
Yeah, the logistics are not great for this to work out
All
very
the
well.
food, he's balancing it. Would you like
Oh,
some
whoops, you
Jell-O?
dropped the watermelon. Excuse me. And he leaves her. Oh, no, wait.
Then
I
you
guess
then you
I
hear
kind
the
of-
ambulance come up and get the
Yeah.
person that like got smacked in the face with the watermelon.
None of this is good.
Good question. So the bidding starts and Lois jumps in with a bid. But much to Lois's dismay, Kat chimes in, upping the bids. Lois is clearly annoyed, but she is not deterred. Lois whispers to Kat,
All right, you made your point. Now butt out.
What's the matter, Lois? Too rich for your blood?
as Kat and Lois are quietly arguing, women with 90s hairstyles are continuing to bid, competing for the man in tights. So it gets to the going once, going twice portion of every auction when a lady with lots of jewelry dramatically belts out $50,000. Have we seen this movie before? Because I have, and it's kind of a tired scene, but it was cute.
Kat's face is hilarious. If looks could kill, she was
mad.
pissed.
Uh-huh. I think she actually wanted the date.
But $9,000 she bid was a lot.
Just to rub it in
Mhm.
Lois's face.
Just to piss somebody off?
I know. Everyone in the room gasps, and Lois looks like someone ate the last chocolate bar on the shelf while simultaneously punching her in the stomach. She will not be getting that date with Superman in the clouds with the man of her dreams. Poor, poor Lois. Superman walks over to the winner, right past Lois, who he seemingly ignores. Kick her while she's down. Lex notices and follows her to the bar. He says hi and shines his boots, and I had in my notes, why is this a shot? But now I understand. Lois apologizes for canceling lunch, but that Superman is such a big draw. And Lex is like, yes, and apparently not only for you. I thought you might like to reschedule.
Nice callback to Never-Ending Battle when she had canceled her date. Or not.
Mhm.
Yeah, was it a date? Lunch. Yeah. She
Yeah,
canceled
the
lunch
lunch,
in Never-Ending
yep.
Battle. I
Right.
wrote, when he's like, you want to reschedule? She's like, sure. I was like, no, don't do
No.
it,
I
Lois.
know.
And
Here it
Lex,
comes.
Lois didn't even bid on you at all.
I know. He
And you
won't give up
still
on
want
her.
her. No.
Lois watches Superman walk away with a winning bidder. She is now annoyed and she replies that she would indeed love to reschedule. Superman exits from the balcony when Murray, who reminds me of a used car salesman, makes every last-ditch effort to get Superman to agree to be represented. He explains that he's got an offer on the table from Cleveland, the city. Supes is not interested and explains that he's not for sale. And now that Superman has left, Clark is free to make his entrance at the auction. He spots Lois right away and walks over and says, "Date with Superman, huh?" Lois rolls her eyes, asking if the barn dance let out early. He responds that he filed the Morris story. Then Lois takes a sip of her wine. She then admits to Clark,
Oh, Clark. He doesn't even know I'm alive. Maybe it was stupid of me to think that he cared.
Clark tries to console her.
It's not so stupid, Lois. Did you ever think that maybe Superman was afraid to reveal himself? His true feelings?
But she just sits there, obviously a wounded bird, so Clark offers to put her in a cab.
Yeah, she's
He's
kind of
drunk.
She's a little sloshed.
She had a few too many.
But what a gentleman. The next scene, an old man in a massive bow tie, spectacles, and Mr. Rogers' sweater is looking at a gold coin through a magnifying lens. The door mysteriously opens. Oh, by the way, I should probably mention that it is stormy, because of course it is. The poor old man starts to grab for his bow tie and gasp for air because, newsflash, this is the invisible man here to rob him. He falls to the floor and gold coins are swept into a bag. How do you think they did this effect? Do you think they used magnets or this is kind of cool?
I kind of watched it a few times, even in slow-mo, and you couldn't really see anything. So they did a good job. I was trying to figure out how they did it. But
green
yeah, I don't
screen
know.
gloves, like a
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't really figure it out. The only thing I could come up with is maybe they were magnetic and they pushed the bag up from the side of the table, or there was maybe a magnet in the bottom of the
Yeah.
bag. I don't know.
See, you're a genius. I didn't think of that.
Or maybe there
I
really
know.
are invisible people in suits and they just used them for Lois and Clark.
Anyway, tangent. Sorry, guys. In the Daily Planet, Lois asks Clark what he found out at Star Labs, and apparently the fabric that Clark took from Alan's lab is a fiber optic, saying that it's designed to reflect visible light in ultraviolet. And I didn't follow this, but ultraviolet light is an invisible part of the spectrum. Lois then says that, are you saying it's actually possible for someone to be invisible? And Clark says, think of it as the next stage of stealth technology.
Still defending her position on invisibility is impossible.
Exactly.
But she's not right, and I'll go down this rabbit hole if you want. But they are literally the same thing. Not visible and appear not visible. There is no
Same
difference.
thing.
Exactly.
She seems to think, I think, true invisibility is also like you can go through stuff.
Like a ghost.
Because she wants to, oh, you could walk through all those closed doors. So I think that's where she's coming from, but no.
She just doesn't like to be wrong.
There's also
Exactly.
She has to be right.
I felt there that Clark's response was he was just amused by her because he responds,
You know, Lois, it must be tough being right all the time.
Yes, it is.
and Clark just smiles and watches her leave. This was a cute scene.
Yeah, her little giggle is adorable.
She
I
does
don't know,
this
but it's
another
cute.
time
Yeah.
in Season's Greetings.
Yeah.
It is now nighttime at the planet, and we hear ominous thunder outside again. And usually on this show, that means something bad is about to happen. Jimmy brings Lois a box with files of all the armed robberies that have occurred in the last 10 years. A man in a trench coat, hat, and wrapped with gauze and sunglasses appears, and Lois rolls her eyes, not at all amused. The man dramatically shouts out, I am the invisible man. But ha ha ha. I thought that was really funny. It's so cheesy. Lois rips part of the bandage off his nose and he screeches and covers his nose in pain.
Okay, when she pulls the stuff off the one invisible man guy and she says, sorry, buddy, try central casting. I wonder what Julie thinks, if this is one of those kind of jokes that she likes, because like plaster casting and he's kind of like got the face thing going on, but also central.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So Lois walks down to her desk when she sees 3 more men in trench coats, gauze, and sunglasses look over at her. That's it. She's done. She decides to just go home. So then Clark is typing away at his desk wearing a trench coat. Again, there are a lot of trench coats in here. He wins for looking the best in a trench coat. I just have to add that.
That's correct.
He looks up and sees Lois sitting at her desk in a dark coat typing as well. And she looks over and smiles creepily at him. And then cue the thunder and lightning. Clark questions her. She turns around and stands up, laughing, and in walks Kat, Perry, and Jimmy, joining in, all laughing at Clark. Clark is very confused. He calls out, Lois? Mr. White? Guys, Mr. White?
Mr. White. That just sounds wrong.
Yeah. Coming from him. And Lois opens her coat to reveal a Superman suit. Jimmy, Perry, and Kat do the same behind her, and they are all also ready for the Superman look-alike contest. Jimmy and Perry have Superman suits with red boxer shorts, and Kat has a red high-leg bikini underwear version of the suit. The look on Clark's face is a mix of confusion and embarrassment, and he asks her what's going on. Lois, in a high-pitched voice, says, his eyes widen as Lois starts to fly away. Clark asks where she's going, and she says that she's going for her flying lesson, and the super trio are all standing there in their suits in a fit of laughter when Clark bolts up in his bed in the dark.
Actually, he's floating, isn't he? He's like, oh, he drops.
Yes.
He drops.
Yeah, and
looking
then
mighty fine.
Shocker, it was just a dream, and then he falls down on the bed because apparently he was sleep flying.
Yep.
P.S. I love his outfit here.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
Very, very nice.
A+.
Speaking of outfits, I mean, once you realize this was his dream and you go back and watch and you go, why is Kat in a Speedo in your dream, Clark?
Good point.
It's your dream, man. I'm not saying he can control it necessarily, but
He's probably just expects it at this point. She has made such an impression on him, and it's not necessarily in the good way. I don't think he's attracted to that.
Right. It's just funny.
But yeah, it is very noticeable. Hadn't thought about it.
They all
that
had
way.
to
That's a
have
good
like
point.
Superman suits like modified a bit for their characters.
Yeah,
and Kat's was very skimpy, and Lois had her little skirt.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
Clark having a dream of all the people he knows wearing his very outfit and like
And Lois's crazy voice.
Oh my gosh.
It's super time.
Exactly.
But she's just emulating the deputy mayor from earlier.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
Superman
Yes.
Day.
Superman Day.
He's traumatized. I thought it was interesting that he was sleep flying, and it made me question maybe under stressful situations he floats, because in Strange Visitor or whatever that episode was, because I don't do episode titles, when Trask was interviewing him, he floated in the chair. And then in later episodes, doesn't Clark float when he's asleep? Like that, what was that episode when, it doesn't matter because we're not there yet, but he does do it in the future.
Stress floating? I'm trying to think.
He
In
floats
the
in Just
Noah?
Say Noah, but he
That's
does that
right.
on purpose.
Yeah.
Well, he does it on
Does he,
purpose
though?
though. Yeah, he floated up.
He
to
floated
sleep
on purpose.
floating on purpose.
Yes.
But then he
Okay.
fell asleep and he drifted.
Yeah, he does. I'm thinking of some other times he does stress, like breaking things by accident.
Yeah.
But I can't think of any more floating by accident except that one time. So.
I think I was thinking of the Noah episode. Meanwhile, Lois is asleep in her bed, and P.S. that storm is still going strong. and we hear a knock at the door. She wakes up and runs to the door in her robe, and she walks past her fish tank, which I never noticed glows at night. Does it glow? Maybe it doesn't glow. Maybe it just has lights in it, but it looks really cool. Anyway, she opens the door slightly, and no one is there. So she unlocks the door chain and walks out into the hall, then turns around and comes back inside and locks the door. So raise your hand if you think this was a dumb move. Lois, girl. It's a good
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Lois and Lucy, both of them.
Yeah.
What's the point of having 12 locks on your door if you just open it for anybody?
Yeah. If she wasn't in Superman's good graces and the invisible guy was really bad, she'd be getting thrown out of a window. So anyway, she goes to the fridge to drink out of the milk carton when Alan's voice pops up out of nowhere.
Who's there? I've got a weapon.
And she pulls out a spatula. And then we see his floating head. It's Alan, he's the invisible man, and Lois screams and drops to the floor. Okay, so now Clark is in the apartment with Lois and Alan. Alan is wearing a cute little sweater vest and tie, holding his invisible suit. He admits that he is the invisible man, but he's not the one doing all the bad things, and that there's another invisible man out there. He admits that he became invisible to become visible again.
I became so invisible in my own life, I decided to do it for real.
So Clark asks how he got the idea for the suit. And Alan explains he got it from a fluorescent light bulb and how it turns invisible light into visible light. So he just reversed the process. Lois asks why she can see it, and he explains that it's not activated. Alan offers for Lois to try on the hood, which she does, and her head disappears except her eyes. She goes, "I told you it wouldn't work," when it clearly did, and Clark just laughs. Alan says that somebody must have stolen some of his suits, and that's when Lois tells him that someone broke into his basement.
When Lois said, "I knew it wouldn't work," I mean, she just saw a floating head not just a few minutes ago. Of course it works. She just saw it.
She's determined
Come
to
on,
be right.
Lois. She does not want to be wrong.
They agree that it might be hard to track someone down who is invisible, and we detect a bit of saltiness from Lois as she says that Superman is probably too busy starring in some sort of commercial to help them out.
Superman on TV? I don't think so.
Wink, wink.
Ha ha ha. Clark offers Alan to stay with him at his place until the situation is resolved. Lois stands up saying that she'll see them in the morning, but unfortunately her robe slips open to reveal some Superman pajamas. Clark sighs and goes, "Lois, not you too." And she looks down, realizing her jammy jams are showing, and quickly covers herself back up.
There's nothing scandalous about it. I wonder if she's just a little embarrassed, though, that she's got Superman pajamas.
Mm-hmm.
And why is Clark so irritated about this? I mean, like, he looks actually annoyed.
The stuff of his nightmares. It's literally what he just had a nightmare about.
Yeah, but I would think he would kind of be a little bit, like, partially flattered, just a little bit. Outside in the storm, a man in a trench coat with a mustache walks through the rain and stands next to a wanted poster of a man also with a mustache. Neither one is wearing glasses. Wait, could it be? Yes, I think so. The guy in the trench coat is the same guy on the poster.
Oh,
There's
no.
So classic about that shot. Like, it's so like Bugs Bunny, Yosemite Sam.
Yes.
Like, clearly,
Yes,
here's the bad guy. We're going to stand next to the wanted poster now.
Most definitely. This scene was very different in the script. Instead of him just walking down the street, going to the penitentiary to like break out his buddies or whatever, there's a bus full of inmates. He puts on the invisibility suit that he has, and he gets on the bus and he gets the people off and shoots them, and it's the whole thing.
Too complicated.
So it's like, yeah, too complicated. It's kind of violent, and they didn't want to go that way.
I like it the way they actually did it. Thank you to whoever made that call. So now we are in Clark's apartment. Clark is shirtless and in jeans and putting on a shirt. And Is there a storyline involved in this, or were they just giving the fans some candy to munch on in this scene?
You'd think I'd like this episode more since it's happened twice already. It needs to happen in
Yeah.
every one.
Exactly. So anyway, Alan assumes that people think he's some crackpot. He starts a conversation with Clark, saying that Clark has no idea what it's like for people to pass you by and look right through you. They never see the part of you that you really want them to see. And Clark admits that, well, he might be surprised because basically it's the story of his life with Lois, but he doesn't say that part. Clark tells Alan that he has to go out for a bit, and Alan says,
Don't worry about me. If anything happens, I'll just fade into the background.
All right, our next scene is in Smallville in the Kent's kitchen, and Clark is wearing the same shirt and jeans he was just wearing, which presumably means he flew all the way to Kansas wearing not his Superman suit. I wonder what that's about. Martha and Jonathan are sitting at the kitchen table, and Clark is pacing the room, and meanwhile, there's a Lois and Clark theme song playing on a music box, and they're surrounded by different Superman tchotchkes and toys. And Julie, did you see what was behind Martha and Jonathan?
No.
I'm
Oh,
99
yes, I did the pogo ball. The pogo ball. I did see that because I was like, oh, it's a pogo ball again. What's with the
Pogo
pogos? Nice.
That made me happy. Thank you, HD. Never saw that. So Clark is going on about how he's just having a hard time with all this Superman merchandise just being sold here and there. Like, I guess he just doesn't like seeing himself as this cheap plastic guy, but also we know that he's feeling overwhelmed by the attention. Anyway, Clark lets it slip that Lois even has Superman pajamas. And Martha's like,
You saw Lois in her pajamas?
this is not the first
She's
time
adorable.
Martha will say something sort of sneaky, implying that there's something going on there. She's a tease.
definitely shipping Lois and Clark already.
I said she's definitely pro Lois.
She has a hunch.
Clark says they're selling Superman off like a piece of meat. He also says that I guess I just feel like I'm losing myself to the man in the red, yellow, and blue suit. But Jonathan's there with words of wisdom.
Son, it's the man beneath the suit that we care about.
And that's the theme of our episode. Good night, everyone.
Yay.
We're going to hammer that one home a few more times. Lois, Clark, and Jimmy quickly figure out who the bad guy must be. Oh, it's this Barnes guy who likes gold. And since all of his friends were the ones that got broken out of the penitentiary, I mean, who could the bad invisible man be based on the fact that his recent minor robberies have all been of gold? Who loves gold? Well, there's Tempest, but they don't know who he is. It's not Tempest. So they figure out it must be this Henry Barnes gold-loving guy, and all those guys who were broken out of jail, Barnes' old cronies. It all makes sense. Ooh, what do we have here? Hold on. This just in, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep,
we
yep.
are looking at a Daily Planet newspaper. Says robbery at the Metropolis Gold Repository foiled.
Wow.
I do have the newspaper.
At some point in the past, there was a botched robbery, the gold repository, and Barnes is going to get it right this time and is going to steal that gold. Lois and Clark go back to Clark's place so they can ask Alan some questions. But Alan is asleep and they're just like, oh, let him rest. And Lois and Clark go out on Clark's balcony and have some tea, which Clark brutally mispronounces.
Lapsang souchong.
I worked at Stash Tea. That is not how you pronounce it, but it's fine.
This tea does come up again, and Lois pronounces it the next time, and she gets closer. And in She of Steel. And she does a better pronunciation. And I always thought this was the show's way of being like, we're really sorry about that episode where Dean did that. So we're just going to put this one in here. I just said, here's the script. And let it go. Yeah, that has always bugged me because like Clark is supposed to be world traveled. He of all people.
It's okay, Dean.
We forgive you.
Right.
Out on the balcony, we get a cute conversation in which Lois tells Clark about how when she was younger, she and Lucy used to play a game where they would ask each other, which would you rather do? Which would you rather be able to fly or be invisible? So Lois asks Clark which one he'd want, and she also tells him that she would like to be invisible. She would like to be able to walk through all those closed doors and get in on all the hidden things. And Clark says he would like to fly. And Lois is kind of surprised by this. And then she says, you know what? You and I have something in common. And he says, what? She says, Superman.
You want to fly like him, and I want to fly with him.
And then she leans her head on his shoulder. And I did not remember that this happened so early in the series.
Yes. The closeness. They just are
Yeah.
so much more comfortable and friendly in this episode than in even the last one. Yeah, it's like she's seeing him more as an equal and a friend rather than a rival. And Clark is very smitten. You can tell he's very smitten. A very mega waffy moment.
It's totally a waffy moment.
Totally. What would you guys choose if you could choose one superpower?
Flying.
Well, yeah, flying if we're talking about Clark's superpowers. But if we're talking about any superpowers, I would choose teleportation.
Ooh, that's what I would want for sure. Yeah. No more commutes to work.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
I would not choose flying just because I am super clumsy and I feel like I would be the one to crash land and that would be the end of it. I was going to say invisible, but you know what? I think I like Molly's better. I'm going to steal your answer.
Molly has a good answer.
Teleport.
Someday. All right. The next morning, Lois wakes up in Clark's living room. And who should be standing there? Why, it's Superman. Lois is like, what? Who? When? Who? Where? And Superman makes some lame excuse about Clark going to the Hall of Records and seeing Superman and telling him that they need his help. So they start to talk and we get our second but first waffy cheek touch here.
Mm-hmm.
Superman touches her cheek and says, you don't have to bid for my attention, Lois. I saw you at the auction and I like you, but you know.
The touching on the cheeks are going to become real important later. But this is the very beginning.
Yeah. And a reminder that he touched her once in Neverending Battle, but it wasn't a great one.
Yeah.
And it was as Clark.
Okay.
But we'll get our next one, I want to say 6 episodes up from now, 5 or 6. Don't worry, there's more. Alan wakes up and is like, oh my God, Superman. Well, I should do it in his voice, but I can't. He's got his own. Superman? Is that really you? I don't believe my eyes. Superman's asking Alan some questions about the invisibility suit. And while they're talking, Clark's phone rings. And without really thinking about it, he walks over, Clark does, to answer the phone. He's like, hello. And all of a sudden he's like, oh crap, blah, 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 blah. And he's very quickly manages to pretend that it's Clark on the other end of the line. And he's like, yeah, so blah, blah, blah. And then hangs up. And then we cut to Martha Kent in her house holding the phone and looking so confused.
No words were needed. Her face was priceless. She's so
great.
Cute.
Suddenly, Superman is inspired. He's got an idea. He may know the way to reverse the effects of the invisibility suits. Because, of course, they're worried about this robbery that they're assuming is going to happen. He leaves, and Lois and Alan head off to the gold repository with 2 extra invisibility suits. So they sneak in, and of course, they're invisible, and all we can hear is their voices. Meanwhile, we see the hands and disembodied legs and heads of some of the gold robbers carrying out their epic heist. 2 guards from the repository have been knocked out and are kind of just laying to the side. And we, the audience, can't see Lois or Alan, but we can hear them whispering, and we see the leaves of a potted plant moving around. The 2 of them finally decide they've seen enough and that they should get out of there. But before they can, they're caught. Someone in another invisibility suit has figured out they're there. And whoops.
Oopsie.
So Lois, Alan, and the 2 guards get locked in the vault. And they're told that they only have about 2 minutes of oxygen before they will die. I guess that's all.
Whoa.
As Barnes closes Barnes locks the vault door, he tells Lois that they only have about 2 minutes of oxygen probably in this vault. It's airtight. Outside, there's a shootout with the police as the robbers come out, but it's kind of difficult for everyone because the police can't see who they're shooting at, and they don't know if the robbers have hostages. We cut back to Lois Lane pacing in the vault, kind of running low on air. She's like, Superman. Superman arrives and he's holding some bags and he shakes some white powder on the invisible robbers and now they can be seen. So he helps round them up, even crushes one of their guns. He also takes a few bullets, which ricochet off his chest. But honestly, that is not safe. You should be catching those dang things. Superman then asks the inspector, hey, where's Lois Lane? Like, I don't know why. He thinks Lois is supposed to be there. I can't remember. But the guy doesn't know. So Superman's like, oh, no, Lois is in trouble. I don't know if he can sense Lois is in trouble or he just knew Lois would be here. I don't know. But he figures out somehow that she's in the vault and about to die. So there's no time to unlock this vault. He comes busting through that wall like the Kool-Aid man. And Lois is saved. Yay.
And then he gets sued for damages.
Yeah.
No, not really.
I loved the part where I don't normally melt at the Superman and Lois scenes, but this one, when they were interacting together, it gave me the feels. Like it was really waffy.
Do you think she was faking? Because Alan seemed totally fine running down the stairs.
Did she need to be carried? No.
Did she need to be? No, I don't think so. I think she was faking because Alan was fine.
Did he ask her if she could walk? No, he just picked her up. So also they're both enjoying it.
There you go. Maybe that's it. Little of both.
There is some sweet music here as Superman picks up Lois and carries her outside. As they're walking, or as he's carrying her, they talk a little bit about how Superman figured out the phosphorus thing, and we get some pseudoscience-y nonsense.
And his hair, Superman's hair in these early episodes, it's a little loose and wavy while it's slicked back, and I kind of dig it. Because later on, it gets to be more slicked back. But this one, his hair was a little wavy. Did you guys notice that? Or?
I've always noticed that they increase the amount of mousse as the years go on.
Yeah. They put a little bit more glue in there.
I like it the early episodes.
The logistics of him changing into Clark and Superman and back, the hair itself would be a huge thing that like you couldn't just fix. Like you can't just spin and your hair is fine. Or maybe he can. I don't know. But I was always like, no, he couldn't just be Clark 5 seconds later. A minute ago, he had like a ton of gel in his hair and Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Then Lois says to Superman, that's the second time you've saved my life. And Superman says, glad to be of service. Which what he's really saying is, I love you, Princess Bride. Hashtag Princess Bride. No. All right. Later, Alan and his wife Helene are reunited and are very happy. We learn that Alan has just gotten a very exciting new job at Luthor Technologies. Clark hears this and has to really fight to say congratulations. We get the distinct impression that Alan and Helene have been getting it on, tee-hee, and when Alan says something like, I guess I don't have to be invisible to be visible anymore, Clark tells him, you never did, Alan. It was the man under the suit that Helene cared about. Just in case that point hadn't been driven home.
Oh my God.
By now. No, there's more. There's more people. We got more. All right, back at the Daily Planet, Lois and Clark are chatting, and Lois is still convinced she was right all along because Alan wasn't really invisible. He had the appearance of invisibility. But she also says very definitively to Clark, there's no such thing as an invisible man. And Clark, as she walks away, quietly says,
Yes, there is, Lois. Yes, there is.
And we fade out. Who could he be talking about? An invisible man? Where? When?
Perhaps the most invisible man of all.
Clark Kent? Not to Cat, he's not. Good breaking.
No.
Was there anything you wanted to talk about further? Favorite moments or new things you noticed?
Shouldn't Alan be in jail at this point? While he was doing good deeds, he was still committing crimes. He stole money. He stole food. Is it just
But
because he didn't steal it for himself? Like, what do you think is the difference?
he only admitted that he did it to like Lois and Clark. I mean, maybe that's not admissible in a court of law. Like, they're not going to turn him in.
But there was the article in the National Whisperer, which,
Oh.
you know, is
Oh, well.
Which
a
is
legit
the basis
tabloid.
of, yeah.
We should also start keeping a list of number of crimes that people just get away with.
Yes.
Clark's diamond robbery will eventually come up. Many times Lois and Clark breaking and entering. Nobody cares because plot, I guess.
Yeah.
Because if you weren't hurting anybody, it's fine.
As a prop collector, if anybody sees that key to the city anywhere, let me know. I would love that. It's amazing.
I noticed Lois had a cool award next to her desk, and I thought,
yes,
that would be
I want that too. That's on my list.
A little quill, a golden quill. That was cool.
My very, very long list. That's definitely up there too. I remember, I think I was in college at the time, that one of the invisibility suits came up that was like all red. Oh, and I passed on it because at that point I was collecting, but I didn't have any wardrobe pieces. And I remember specifically thinking, what am I going to do with this? Am I just going to hang it in my closet? But now I'm like, oh, I could have had that because it was cheap. I think it was like $50 or something, which is very cheap for a wardrobe piece.
Yeah.
So I regret that. Yeah.
Maybe they'll sell. Maybe they'll sell to you.
Anyone listening who has that, let me know.
And now it's probably harder to find all that stuff because it's not as in the...
It's very hard. I say it's hard, and I have 2 props from this episode, but it's very hard to find stuff. It takes many years.
When planning this podcast, we decided on a number of things we each wanted to focus on in each episode. And one of my jobs is to talk about any real life people, places, or events that were mentioned. And there were quite a few in this one. Lois mentioned Central Casting, which is a huge company that helps cast extras, body doubles, and stand-ins in feature films and shows. We got a reference to Benjamin Franklin, an American writer, diplomat, etc. from the 1700s. We got a nod to actor Arnold Schwarzenegger, although they only gave his first name. You're to assume that's who they're talking about. A mention of the Cleveland Browns, an American football team, and of course, Cleveland, the city. Mention of Rio de Janeiro, the 2nd most populous city in Brazil. Kenya, the 7th most populous country in Africa, the Everglades, which is a gigantic ecosystem in southern Florida, and we also find out Lois is saving to go on a vacation to Tahiti, which is an island in the Pacific Ocean, part of French Polynesia. But that's not all. Clark also mentions having once had tea at the London Savoy, which is the Savoy Hotel, located in London's West End, first opened in 1889, very posh, will run you close to $1,000 a night for the cheapest room. All right, next up, we have Julie with our new feature, Acronym of the Week.
Our acronym of the week this week is a pretty basic one, but we definitely used it on the internet back during the show's initial run, and that is LNCTNAOS. This stood for, I'm sure you've guessed it, Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman. Why an N for and instead of an A? Probably because the letter N sounded like the word and phonetically. Of course, when mentioning our favorite show, we usually just wrote LNC and left off the TNAOS. Sometimes we write it as L&C, but we also use that when mentioning the main characters themselves. Confused yet? I hope not.
Thank you for taking that bullet, Julie. That was a mouthful I wrote there. Jen, our companion of the animals, were there any 4-legged, feathered, or scaly friends in this episode?
Sadly, there were not. Boo.
That's all right. We'll get them next time. One of the special features I'll be doing, at least through most of season 1, is a little thing I like to call, What the hell was Lex talking about this week? Lex wasn't very prominent in this episode, but he was there, and we learned a little bit more about some of his eccentricities. Apparently, he has a private jet, he enjoys alligator hunting, and he has access to a leopard ranch in Kenya, which is yikes. He's also the 4th. No, wait, make that 3rd richest man in the world. Okay, great. Coming up, we're actually going to learn who the 1st and 2nd richest guys in the world of them are. But he's the 3rd, and he will make sure you know that.
Bloopers like this make the day okay.
Did you notice any goofs or bloopers in this episode?
I noticed quite a bit of goofs in this episode, so I'm just going to throw out a large disclaimer to skip forward a bit. If you think this will ruin the magic of the show, it doesn't ruin it for me personally. I actually love finding this kind of things. I think it's fun. Without further ado, if you watch the Key to the City scene at the beginning, you'll see a bunch of red pennant banners hanging. I don't think they expected anyone to pause the screen, because if you do, you'll just see that they reused some old Coca-Cola classic banners and stamped a big S on top of them. They assumed it wouldn't be noticed from a distance, I'm assuming, because honestly, it worked. I'm just one that looks at every single thing in this show. Also, at the beginning of the episode, when Superman is backed into the brick wall by the Superman fan club, you can see that the brick wall moves. This one I've mentioned a few times already. Cat's beauty mark comes and goes. I mentioned earlier, the same clip was used from the pilot when Superman enters the penthouse. When he's hovering above Murray Brown while trying to leave the auction, if you look closely at his boots, you can briefly see that he's harnessed onto something. You can see two straps holding him on, I'm assuming for safety reasons. Also, phosphorus is misspelled on the factory and the bag that Superman is flying with. It is spelled O-U-S, but it should be U-S. Like I said, there's a lot in this episode. When the invisible men were shooting at the cops in front of the bank, their guns were also invisible. Do you think they should have been invisible? They never were before. They weren't in the jewelry store. They're not under the suit, so they should have been visible.
Oh no.
Right?
Maybe they had invisibility suits for the guns.
But they would have had to make them. They don't know how they work.
True.
Yeah.
Oh,
They cut up. Yeah, I'm not going there. Okay.
Yeah, the guns were floating earlier. This time they're somehow invisible. Who knows? We're just going to pass right on by that. And one last one. Lois mentions that it was the second time Superman saved her life. She must have been oxygen deprived for too long, because it's been 3. The first one was the bomb in the pilot. The second one was when she was falling from the airplane. And then this one. So 3 total.
There's a whole trope on TV tropes called writers cannot do math. And it's all about how they always get the numbers wrong.
There are different writers too for every episode, and it makes me wonder if they don't collaborate as much as you think that they should.
And finally, Jen, what's your vote for the wildest excuse Clark makes in this episode?
So the part where he is in the Daily Planet and he drops his favorite pen so that he could go save the plane. But his excuse is, oh, is it my lucky pen or my favorite pen?
My lucky pen.
That was cute.
I knew that you were going to pick that one because it's ridiculous.
It's silly. And
crawling around like a dog.
Yeah. Again, with the dog thing. Maybe that's why I liked it especially, is because he's making it very obvious that he is Superman in the Daily Planet and crawling around like a dog. But he kind of made it the excuse when he came back and he wiggled the pen and just looked like, oh, got it. He did that without really using any words after the fact. And good job, Clark.
That scene where she's looking for him under the table and then pulls her head back. I remember that was used in like an ABC promo where it was like, watched by more people than any other network. And there's one shot of Clark with his, normal suit. And then there's a scene of her doing that. And then there's a scene of him ripping his shirt open and it implies that she sees him doing it. I always love that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
From that episode. Mm-hmm. I remember they also used several things from this episode when they were doing the TNT promos, the TNT like push when she's like, oh, I got a hot date with who? Superman. That they use that one a lot. So now we come to the end of our episode discussion. On a scale from A+ to F-, what grade would you give this episode?
I was definitely not super excited to watch this one at first. I love Lois and Clark, but I just was kind of hesitant. I don't know why. But there were some little scenes throughout that carried me through. And all in all, I thought it was a good episode. So I was between a B- and a B. But I think I'm going to just go with a B because there were so many sweet heart-melting moments, especially between Lois and Clark, and my heart did little backflips. So I liked their heart-to-heart conversation in the car and the playful banter at the office and like, the little moment on the balcony. It had a lot of waffy moments. And I also freaking love Leslie Jordan. His Southern drawl, I don't know. He's just amusing. I love him. But beyond the cuteness, it had good undertones, even though they drilled it in where he feels kind of isolated because he feels invisible as himself, but an entirely different person in the Superman suit. So I don't know. And the love triangle deepens as Clark continues to struggle to be seen as himself by Lois. So I don't know. I liked it. And then at the fan service, it did not hurt that we got two shirtless scenes with Dean. Yes, please.
All right, so I've been going back and forth just like you. I think I'm going to settle on a B minus, even though I was kind of going with maybe a C plus. So B minus, because for one thing, when I was going to watch this episode, all I could really remember about it was the Invisible Man whole thing. And I didn't remember about all the waffy little moments. And so those really surprised me and made me think, oh, this is sweet. And there's so many sweet moments. On the other hand, there's quite a few cringy moments. Anytime you see people dressed up as the Invisible Man with the white on their faces and the sunglasses, Clark's dream with Lois's high-pitched voice, the women running after him, all the people in the crowd like making him uncomfortable, all these things that I don't like to watch and experience are kind of pushing back at that. So altogether, I think about 50% of this episode is quite good and sweet, and the other 50% is so B minus.
That's fair.
I was very much along the same lines. I was debating on the B minus C plus, but I ended up with the B minus. It's not a bad episode. It's just not one I go to if I want to rewatch an episode. But it's also not one that I really skip over either. So it's kind of in between. I think the thing that bothers me the most is that it's just overly drilled in about invisibility. Clark's invisible to Lois, even to Perry at one point where he's like, oh, I didn't see you there, when he's literally right in front of his face. Lois feels invisible to Superman. Alan feels invisible to his wife and his boss. And it's just too much. Too much. They could have been a little bit more subtle. But it does have those waffy moments that bring it back up to that B minus. So that's where I'm at.
We're all pretty close.
Now, don't go anywhere because we have one more topic to discuss today. Back in the mid-90s, if you wanted to show your love for Lois and Clark or Superman, it wasn't the easiest thing to do. Superman merchandise just wasn't sold at regular stores. We were 6 years removed from the last Christopher Reeve Superman movie. And if you were lucky enough to stumble upon any merch, it was probably like something like pajamas for preschoolers. Amazon wasn't around yet. eBay wasn't a thing. Heck, the internet was barely kicking. But as some of us discovered, there was one place in town that carried Superman merchandise, a little place called the Warner Brothers Studio Store, aka the WB Store, a franchise that was begun in 1991 and could be found in specific malls across America. What are your memories of the WB Store, Julie?
This was the best store. Our mall was pretty pathetic, so it didn't have the Warner Brothers store, but there was one at the City Center Mall in Columbus, which was a little bit of a distance from us, so we really only got to go on special occasions like Christmas shopping, back to school shopping, things like that. But every time I'm like, I want to go to the Warner Brothers store. It was amazing. I always went in there just hoping something from the show was there. There never was. Not once did I find anything from the show in that store. So you just end up getting any kind of random Superman thing to represent your show. I remember when I got my car and I got, my license, one of the first places I went, definitely the first place in Columbus that I went, was City Center Mall because of the Warner Brothers store. And at that time, I had to print out MapQuested directions just to get there and back because there was no navigation. How did I get places? I'm surprised I didn't get lost more often. But yes, they should have had more merchandise for our show. It's pathetic.
I'll ask some more about specific things you may have bought there, but first, Jen, what are some of your memories?
I'm pretty close to Julie. I was closer to a mall, and so I grew up going to the mall with my friends, and I would always beeline in there. Each time I'd go hopeful that maybe this is the time that they're going to have something, and no, there was never anything that I really, really, really wanted. But I'd still spend money in there. I'd still buy a Superman something. Yeah, that was my memory. It was a fun store, though. How about you, Molly?
So when I got online in 1995, I met someone online who was from the Pacific Northwest, and she pointed out the Warner Brothers store to me and said, it's over at this mall. Now, we had like 6 or 7 malls in Portland. This one was the farthest. We never went there, but I begged my parents, and finally they took me over there. Went in. There was maybe 1 or 2 Superman items. The rest was Daffy Duck, Bugs Bunny, Batman, Marvin the Martian, Tweety, all that. But I did find a few things. And then I would beg and beg to go back. And so I got to go maybe 3 times a year. Sometimes if we had a relative in town, I would take a different approach and ask them if, well, there's this really cool mall we have. Would you like to go? And then I would get a ride from them and we'd go there. And then when I was 18 and learned to use the bus system, I would travel on 3 buses across town to get there. It would take like 2 hours. And that was the best store. In 2001, they all closed down. And that was the end of a very sad era. No, that was the end of an era. That was a very sad end of an era. It wasn't a sad era. It was a wonderful era. I was wondering if you remember any specific things that you got from there that stood out to you. One of the first things I ever bought was a Superman charm bracelet. It was this sort of silver colored thing. Did you have that too, Julie?
I have this too. Does it have like a little camera on it and a little globe on it? And
it does.
It still have
the derby
this.
hat. It is very much 1940s Superman. Did I care? No, I did not.
No.
Did I ever wear it? Maybe one time.
Do you still have it?
Hell yeah.
I
Both
do
of you?
still have it. Yep.
I also got a plastic Superman watch there. It was red, yellow, and blue. And I wore that for many years until it fell apart. And then I went back and bought another one. I still have one of them, but the band is completely shot. So wore that thing for years.
Nice.
One of the weirder things I got there was, this was after the animated 1996 WB show had come out. And so they started selling merch for that. And I didn't care, still Superman. It was a milk bottle, like those old-fashioned milk bottles, but printed on it was like Smallville, Kent Dairy Farms.
This is hilarious. I have the same, we bought the same stuff. I have the little Kent Dairy milk jug.
Yeah.
It's sitting on the on a shelf in my kitchen.
Another thing I bought was, it was a plastic phone booth that doubled as a piggy bank, but inside it, stuffed inside, was a Superman t-shirt. So not only did I get this piggy bank, but I got this t-shirt, and I still have both of those somewhere. That was one of the first things I got there.
That's cool. I remember being really excited about my Kent Dairy milk jug. I still think it's very cool. Even though
I want to see it.
I'm pretty sure that they didn't have cows on our show. But hey, it's still cool. I loved it.
At one point, I had put Superman pasta, dried pasta, into it. There was some craft tie-in, and so I just poured a bunch of pasta into this milk bottle, thinking that was a good way to store it.
Yeah, I also bought a watch, and he would fly around the. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Oh, mine did not do that.
I had a Superman watch. I don't remember much about it. I think it just had the S in the middle of the face. I had some studs, not Dean Cain, but like the little S shield earring stud. And I feel like I had a denim button-up shirt that had like the Superman S on the pocket area. Do you remember that? Or am I?
Probably was.
And it wasn't even the Lois and Clark S, obviously. That's all I really had, I think.
I'm remembering the metal keychain. Do you guys remember the S
Yeah.
Shield keychain?
That's what
Okay,
I was
I
just
have
about
that
to say.
too.
The keychain. There's a pen. I had a pen.
The pen. Yep.
There was a phone case that had that had a embroidered S on the front for our giant phones that we had back then.
Wow.
I don't think I even had a phone then, but I wanted
didn't
the
have a
phone
phone yet.
case because I was like, I'm gonna get a phone eventually. I'm getting this case. It's very cool.
I had limited funds, but every time I went,
Yeah.
I would make sure to buy one thing. And sometimes there were only two things to choose from, so it made it easy. But Jen, can you show me the shirt you're wearing right now, real quick? Let's
Oh,
see.
yeah. I don't remember where I bought it, but it is from back in 1996 or something.
Well, check the tag on it because I remember there was always this rumor back then that design, that picture that she has with the pilot was a t-shirt that at some point people found it at the WB store.
Oh, well, maybe I did get it there. Hang on.
And that's why every time I went, I'd be like, well, maybe this time there will be Lois and Clark stuff because I heard that there one time there was. Oh, Julie's bringing in something too.
I got the same one. This is the same one?
Okay.
Or is it a
Okay,
different
yeah,
one?
same.
Is it? Okay, it's the same
All right,
one.
look
Right?
at your tag.
What's your tag? It says 1995 DC Comics.
Mine says DC as well.
Hmm.
So could that be
So-
Warner Brothers?
No, that probably
No.
would have. Maybe.
I don't remember being at the store. I feel like I don't think it was this one. This one I got on eBay, but the one that I'm wearing, the tattoo,
Is yours
the
a
tattoo
sweatshirt?
series. I'm pretty sure we had to get it out of a catalog.
Oh yeah, so this is the
I
one
think I
you're
had to
wearing.
mail in the mail
Mhm.
in one.
It was the Entertainment Weekly catalog.
Yes, back in the day.
Whoa.
I
Entertainment
remember,
Weekly
I remember
studio store.
begging. I begged my mother, please buy this.
That was a whole nother thing. Yep, there was
Yeah.
a t-shirt and a sweatshirt.
I want a sweatshirt.
Yeah, I've seen a few come up on eBay, but they're around $70 when they post
shoot.
them, which
Okay, I'm good.
yeah,
good.
which yeah,
I gotta stop spending money.
Sorry, there were also WB catalogs, and I would get those, and sometimes I would order from the catalogs. And I remember one time I ordered from the catalog, and instead of getting my merchandise, I got a letter back from them saying, we cannot deliver your items. Here's your money back. We are closing forever.
Oh.
Oh, really?
Oh, awful.
And that was the end of that.
I'm surprised it only lasted 10 years.
I'm surprised they didn't
That's
keep it
not-
up because WB
Yeah.
became was such a big deal. You had Dawson's Creek, you had all these shows at the time, and they still ended it.
Mhm.
And Harry Potter was just, becoming a franchise.
Big.
And,
Yeah.
and they're like, nah,
Friends.
we can sell this online. It's fine.
One more thing to mention that I noticed, and I don't know if this was just me. Did the WB store have a specific smell to you?
Not that I remember.
Really?
If I'm sure
I just
it
remember the
did.
I felt like when I would walk in, I don't know what the smell was. Maybe it was like a plastic smell,
Yes, because
but
I
I'd
have
walk in and it was a super specific smell.
because I've smelled it since. I've walked into places and
Yeah.
been like, this is the WB store.
Smell.
now that you said that,
Interesting.
it's probably like
What?
the plastic toy smell.
But I can't identify what components are in
Yeah.
that mix, But yes.
Well, because now I walk into the former WB store because it's the mall is still there and it doesn't smell like that. But I remember liking everything, but the smell was kind of bothersome. Like it didn't smell bad, but it had a unique smell that I wasn't a super fan of.
I just remember the massive screens that they had, that they'd be playing promos or cartoons, or
Mhm.
it was awesome. Like a whole wall of screens.
Never Lois and Clark though.
Never. Mm-mm.
Thank you to everyone for joining us today. Please be sure to subscribe to this podcast on the platform of your choosing. And if you're feeling extra generous, leave us a review. If you're planning to watch the show alongside us, the next episode we'll be covering is episode 5, Requiem for a Superhero. So check it out, and we'll see you next time.
Wait a minute. How do I find you?
You can find us on Instagram or Blue Sky as Folks Forever. That's FOLCS FOREVER. Or you can visit our website at folksforeverpod.wixsite.com/podcast. And until next time, please enjoy this bonkers little ditty.
Here, try on the hood.
Alan was a scientist, the cleverest of all. Built a suit for vanishing, invisible he'd fall. He played a modern Robin Hood, hit the wealthy score, left riches for the broken folks, a hero to the core. But shadows saw his genius and their hearts turned sly. They stole his backup suits, gave thievery a try. They hid the biggest bank in town, alarms began to scream. Alan's invention, now a nightmare, not his dream. Oh, Alan thought it through, but he could not foresee what happens when the shadows steal invisibility. Justice wasn't faded, there was hope in disarray. To the skies came truth itself. Yes, Superman saves the day. Superman flew in so fast, his cape a crimson blaze. His eyes could trace the unseen paths, his strength broke through the haze. He caught the thieves red-handed, though to the eye they'd gone. Justice doesn't need to see when it finds what's wrong. Alan stood there humbled, his heart a heavy stone. His invention caused the chaos, but the lesson he did own. He vowed to be more careful, no power out for hire, because even bright intentions can stoke a darker fire. Oh, Alan thought it through, but he could not foresee what happens when the shadows steal invisibility. Justice wasn't faded, there was hope in disarray. To the skies came truth itself. Yes, Superman saves the day.